What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, but before I get into the news, I first want to mention I'm doing my usual weekly live stream here on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so join if you can. It's always a good time hanging out and talking cars, and it'll be extra important this week because Monterey Car Week is kicking off this weekend, and so there's a lot of teasers here I'm talking about today, and a lot of these things are going to be coming out later today into this weekend, and we can discuss all that in the Sunday live stream. So definitely join for a Monterey special one here. I won't be in Monterey, unfortunately, but I will be from my office here talking about all those fun debuts. But getting into the other news here this week, so one of the other things that's going to be revealed here this weekend, not at Monterey, but instead in Detroit, is Dodge, and they're showing off the Charger Daytona, the electric version, which we've already seen a few months ago. I already got to check it all out and sit in it and do a full tour of it. So if you missed that video, check that out. But they're going to do the public debut for everyone else to see it here this weekend, and along with that, they teased a very V8-like roar for this thing on Instagram, going through a tunnel. It sounds very close to an actual V8 powered Charger and sounds really, really good. And I mean, they said a while back that this, what they're calling the Fratsonic chambered exhaust, would be capable of delivering the same decibels as a Hellcat from the outside. And this certainly seems to be making good on that promise, because it sounds like it's going to be just as rowdy for everyone around you, just like the current Chargers and Challengers are. So it'll be showing up at Roadkill Nights here. So if you're in Detroit or within driving distance and want to check it out, that's going to be happening this weekend. Sounds like it's going to be a petrolhead fun time for sure. So cool to hear that. And one other thing, though, about the Charger that might not be super great to hear is the pricing, which Dodge also published this week here because there was a leak a few days ago, and then they just came out with the official pricing, which is great that they just put that out there. But brace yourselves because it's going to be expensive, at least for these first models, until we get some of the lower priced, cheaper versions in down the road. But the current entry-level model here is the RT trim, but these launch editions are all going to be coming with the Direct Connection Stage 1, which is going to be, I think, an extra cost add-on later on, but for now they're all coming with this package, which gives you a total of 496 horsepower and 404 pound-feet of torque for these RTs. And again, this is a base one, starting at basically 500 horsepower. It, starting at more horsepower than a Mustang GT for the base RT here. But they'll be starting at $61,590, including destination, for a base Charger. Again, we will see eventually some without the direct connection stuff, and we will see lower trims. I'm assuming we will also see, rear-wheel drive versions at some point and other things, but it's starting off a little high here. But Dodge does point out that if you lease them, you will be able to get the price lowered by $7,500 because it's eligible for that tax credit. Only for leasing it, though. Interestingly enough, I thought that for a purchase, you'd maybe be eligible for some of it as well, since it's built in North America. It's going to be built in Canada. And so that would at least, qualify for half the credit, I would assume. But they only highlighted the leasing component here. But still, it's going to be pricey, and there's no way around that. But There are also packages, so you can add packages between $700 all the way up to about $5,000 for the Plus Group package. But it's also important to keep in mind that this is a level up from the old one. So the RT is basically starting above where Scat Pack resided, and Scat Pack is basically residing where Hellcat used to reside from a power and performance level. And that whole mix-up, I think, is kind of going to throw people off initially as well. But still, I mean, it still stands to make the point here that, comparable 2023 Challenger Scat Pack with the automatic transmission, very similar power level and all that, was almost exactly $9,000 less comparably equipped with the safety equipment and, the Alpine stereo, which is standard here on these RTs to start off with. So it's a $9,000 premium. Obviously, this is a new generation. We have a lot more tech. We have the bigger screens. And you always see, a price increase typically for a new generation of anything. So some of that can account for the $9,000. And also, again, it's an electric vehicle. It's going to be more expensive. There's going to be a price premium there. So, whether or not Dodge buyers want to pay that price premium is another question altogether. But, when you go from a gas to an electric powered version of other things that offer both powertrains, typically the upcharge is similar. So this isn't out of line. Again, saying, 61.5 starting for a Charger for a base one sounds like a shock factor. But again, we're talking about a very high level launch edition vehicle. And so not exactly like the base bare bones, rental unit or anything like that. But it's still a big jump though nonetheless. But moving on to the Scat Pack, that's going to be starting at $75,185. But this one actually seems like a better deal. Hear me out. Because keep in mind, again, Hellcat levels of performance with this Scat Pack, 670 horsepower, a 3.3 seconds 0 to 60 time, which is 0.1 second less than the Hellcat jailbreak wide body of, the Challengers. And that old jailbreak with the safety equipment, which this new one has as standard, plus the automatic transmission, that car would end up costing you $85,000 last year. $85,000, and you're getting this for $75,000, and you're getting a faster 0 to 60 by 0.1 second, but also you're getting, the perfect launch of the all-wheel drive. I mean, these things are going to be smoking Hellcats and even red eyes probably, at least stock ones, left and right. And you're doing it for $10,000 less than someone who bought a jailbreak, last year would be. So, I mean, I think that's actually a really good deal, and all things considered for that. And so I think, honestly, the Scat Pack, even though it's more expensive, is the better deal of the two when you consider the performance and, what you're getting for your money. It's also worth keeping in mind, we're talking about comparable vehicles. Like, even that jailbreak from last year didn't even have leather seats at that $85,000 price tag. So, I mean, this is, honestly, I think if you're okay with the electric thing, I think this is actually kind of a net positive in a lot of ways for this new generation Charger as far as the performance per dollar goes. And obviously the branding of this new one isn't as prestigious. You're telling people you're having a Scat Pack instead of a Hellcat, jailbreak wide body, and, the red eye, and, adding on whatever other cool words you want to add on to the names that they did over the past 10 years here. But, again, once you recalibrate your brain to what Scat Pack means and what RT means, I think that, again, just the numbers here, it's going to be a really solid value from a performance standpoint. And so moving on here, it's also worth noting that on that Scat Pack, you're also getting the track package as standard, which means you get 305 wide tires in the front, 325s in the rear, all that stuff on Scat Packs, just again at that $75,000 price tag. So again, you got to keep in mind the price premium you used to have to pay for wide bodies, that's also factored in here to this as well. So all those things considered, $75,000 for Hellcat levels of performance on the new generation. I think that's actually pretty much what I was expecting, to be completely honest. Sure, it's always great for things to be cheaper, but, I don't think they're out of line here with this pricing personally. And also, they did reiterate their plans to still launch this as a 2024 model, even though basically everybody right now is launching stuff, and has been for months now, launching stuff as 2025s. But I guess they maybe don't want to say they took a break in production for a year, and they just, kept going on from 2023 straight into 2024s. I'm not sure why they're not labeling these as 2025s yet, but they say the production should be starting this summer still, so basically any day now, I'm guessing. And Dodge still claims that it's going to be, the RTs and the Scat Packs are going to be built here this summer, but you'll be able to search for them sometime later this quarter, and that these cars building here this summer even won't be arriving, though, until the fourth quarter of this year, which means, don't expect to see any of these on dealer lots until October at the earliest. Same thing goes for anyone that pre-ordered one of these. Sounds like October is the earliest you can expect those. And so it's a good thing that now these new Chargers have all-wheel drive, because they're going to be launching them right as the weather gets cold. And if we were talking about a Mustang or something else rear-wheel drive, I'd say they're going to have an uphill battle trying to move these in the middle of winter. But with the all-wheel drive version, I might actually get off to a strong start with everyone being like, oh, wait, I want the new Charger. Oh, wait, it's all-wheel drive. I don't need to worry about snow. And going and buying them anyway. So, they also said that four-door Daytonas will be arriving in the first half of 2025. So four-door electric one, first half of 2025. Then gas-powered versions of the two-door and the four doors will be arriving in the second half of 2025. And it can be assumed that other variants are going to be, relegated to 2026 most likely, as far as either lower stuff, higher stuff, whatever. That's all going to be coming, in that kind of a time frame. So good to have all that info. Let me know your thoughts on the pricing of this vehicle in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it, especially, again, given the context of what everything else costs. I think it's pretty fair. But anyway, moving on here. Another car we got our first official sound clip of is the successor to the Lamborghini Huracan, which hopefully we will also get a reveal of this weekend. They didn't say when they're revealing this yet still, but we just got this teaser video on YouTube here with Lamborghini showing a close-up of a TAC revving past 10,000 RPM, which sounds very exciting. Although it doesn't sound nearly as sonorous as the old V10. We'll see how this motor ends up sounding. I mean, it's going to have a flat plane crank and be a V8, but it's got turbos and electrification and stuff, so it's going to be a little more complicated, but I'm hoping that it sounds really good. The startup sound, honestly, they had at the very end of that little clip, sounds just like a startup for the old V10, honestly. So I'm curious if they're going to do the kind of a similar thing like Ferrari and make a V8 sound like a V10, like how Ferrari made their six-cylinder sound like a V12 in the 296 and stuff. We will see, but anyway, hopefully that rumor is true, that we will see it at Monterey here this weekend or this coming week, and either way, I'll be covering all the details whenever it does arrive. In other Monterey supercar news here, the designer of the Huracan, the Bugatti Chiron, the Koenigsegg Gemera, and even the Genesis Essentia concept, I didn't realize all those vehicles were designed by the same person, at least on the outside. But anyway, those vehicles, the designer of them has made his own hypercar here, which he's showing off this week, called the Nilu, I believe. I might have butchered the pronunciation, but it's called the Nilu. It's under his new company called Nilu 27. It's about what you'd expect as a supercar designer would be doing, for something that they could build on their own terms. It has a wild design that's inspired by F1 cars from the 60s, they say, along with having Le Mans and Italian design inspirations as well. And he clearly knows what hypercar buyers want, following Gordon Murray's lead with commissioning his own naturally aspirated 6.5-liter 80-degree V12 engine built by New Zealand company Hartley Engines, and is planned to do more than 1,000 horsepower with no turbos or electrification. And also, like the Gordon Murray cars, it's paired up to a beautifully gated manual transmission, a 7-speed manual in this, and it roars through an Inconel 3D printed exhaust. Very exotic and very cool looking there. And as you can also see, there's 0 screens in it other than the camera rearview mirror. And initially, they'll be building these in California, and only 15 will be built, and these aren't street legal. You can see there's no airbag there, and a few other things, but they say that a street legal version is coming, and they plan to build 54 of those as well. But I guess we're not seeing that at this current time, so maybe that'll come next year or something. There's no pricing for these yet, but this kind of stuff, it doesn't matter. If you have to ask, then you can't afford it. So anyway, cool to see though, and always fun seeing new supercars and hypercars, no matter how unobtainable they might be. But back to ordinary vehicles here. Nissan has revealed a late refresh for the 2025 Frontier this week, and on the outside, you can see it's pretty subtle. There's a new grille and bumper in the front there. There's also new wheels and lightly tweaked taillights in the back, along with a new afterburner orange color you're seeing here. And the bigger change, though, is inside, where every trim except the base one will come with this bigger 12.3-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And there's also that very bold Frontier badging right underneath it, which I can't help but think was a inspiration from the new Tacoma, but there's also cross-stitching and some nicer trim, along with a few other features being rearranged, like you now get a tilt and telescoping steering wheel as standard. And mechanically, it's all carryover, which is likely good news for most mid-sized truck buyers, especially those that like the V6 engine that's unavailable in most of the other competitors. It can also now tow about 500 pounds more than before, maxing out at 7,150 pounds of tow capacity when properly equipped. You can also now get the longer 6-foot bed with the crew cab on most other trims, instead of previously that was apparently an SV only thing. Now you can get the 6-foot bed on most of the others there, except you can't get it on the base truck or on the hardbody trim still. But anyway, this is going to be beginning to arrive at dealers later this summer, but there's no updated pricing for those yet. But a nice upgrade to modernize the Frontier, keep it fresh, to go along with what I think is still really good styling and the unique appeal there of that V6 that most others don't offer. And so, yeah, great to see the Frontier get some love there. Acura has done an even smaller refresh, though, this week for the 2025 RDX, which I'm kind of surprised we even got a refresh of, because this is its 7th model year now. Kind of old, especially for luxury vehicles and stuff. But it gets a new grille, even though just a couple years ago it got a thinner bezel around the grille. Now they call it a frameless grille altogether. And it comes with a new pattern on the inside of the grille there as well. But other than that, everything else is the same. The headlights are the same as they were 7 years ago. Same with the taillights, all that. They didn't even bother to change that. On the outside, the other couple of things here, there's new wheels and colors. But on the inside, you get a new center console design that gives you bigger cup holders and an improved wireless charger, they say. There's also backlit speakers now and more ambient lighting. But unfortunately, it sticks with the non-touchscreen, which is kind of a surprise since the 2025 MDX got the new touchscreen in its refresh. And it's like, great news. Hopefully this expands the rest of the lineup. Sounds like it's not, at least not for the RDX here, which makes me think that either we're going to get a new gen RDX like next year, and this is just some little stopgap thing that they're doing for some reason, or I don't know why they wouldn't have swapped it in here. It's just kind of a mystery. But anyway, they do say the screen now does full screen Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Previously, you had a little bar on the side that you couldn't get rid of, but now you can have the whole thing be CarPlay or Android Auto if you'd like. And it arrives at dealers later this month, but Acura and Honda love withholding pricing until the last minute. So instead of announcing pricing with this, they're going to wait for dealers to announce pricing when these things show up in a week or two, I guess. But anyway, interesting to see that. Again, I can't help but think that Honda and Acura are just really being too conservative with their refreshes and their product rollouts, and it's just it's kind of unfortunate because Acura and Honda sales are also down this year, especially Acura, and it just seems like these tiny little nips and tucks aren't going to really move the needle very much. But we'll see. Best of luck to them. Anyway, moving on. Mitsubishi here has teased a refresh for the Outlander here. And images from overseas reveal that it'll get tweaked headlights, the bigger 12.3-inch touchscreen from Nissan, and a Yamaha stereo. Mitsubishi also says the interior will be greatly improved because of customer feedback, and that the back end will also get some new styling. Apparently, there's also talk of a bigger battery on the PHEV version as well, and they say that the ride will be refined for it to be one class above the rest. So, I already really liked the Outlander PHEV. I just, reviewed it not too long ago. I was really impressed with it. And so any improvements to me are just icing on the cake here. But Japanese magazines also are claiming that a Rallyart version won't just be an appearance package now, which is what we kind of were the worst fears were that it was just going to be an appearance package. That seems like a safe bet these days, sadly, because of the way things are going with badges being, not used properly. But it sounds like, according to the rumors, again, these are rumors, so don't get excited about this part just yet, but they say that the Rallyart version that's coming will be using the PHEV, and will actually provide more horsepower, 333 horsepower to be exact, thanks to a third electric motor that would also provide torque vectoring capabilities for sharper handling. And then that would actually put it above the RAV4 Prime and all the other plug-in hybrid crossovers in that segment as far as power and being more dynamic than most of the others, I think. And that would be really cool to kind of finally have a Mitsubishi that offers top tier performance for its segment. and you know, kind of puts everyone else on notice. It'd be great to see Mitsubishi at the top of the comparison charts for once. So we will see, but I'm really hoping that one turns out to be true. But the refreshed Outlander here that we do know is coming, you know, the PHEV version, that'll be debuting in Europe on October 1st, and the US division says that they'll just give us more info on it later this year. So less exact there for the US details, but I'm sure it'll be sometime this fall, I would assume. But anyway, so cool to see that. And the last two news stories here are about things going away. And so first, Maserati has built their final V8 engine last month, sadly, and it went into the final Quattroporte to be built, a special one-off called the Grand Finale that was built for an American Maserati enthusiast that Maserati says is a significant entrepreneur in the biomedical sector. So you can speculate away. But I was fortunate enough, you know, to review one of these Maserati Quattroportes, the GTS to be exact, with the V8 here back in 2018, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I think the problem with the Quattroporte is it just, you know, wasn't, again, top of its class. You know, an M5 would run circles around it. But, you know, it's still very appealing as a Ferrari-built V8 engine, just very exciting in so many ways, even if it wasn't the top performer in its segment. And so it's going to be sad to see it go here. You know, we do know the Maserati Quattroporte name is going to continue on. Maserati just said last week that the work is progressing on a next-gen Quattroporte. So the name will return, even though the V8 isn't returning. You know, at least we will see the Quattroporte return in some form in the future. So anyway, sad to see that go. Yeah, but I mean, it's a vehicle that didn't sell a whole lot. I don't think too many people are going to miss it. But, you know, still sad to see it go away with the V8 there. And for the last news here, Ram has announced that they're finally discontinuing the Ram 1500 Classic, which is a 15-year-old truck at this point that stuck around even after the new one arrived 5 years ago now at this point. And it'll end production in September, but they say they'll be building enough of them to last into the 2025 calendar year. And, you know, at this point, though, it just seems like it didn't make much sense to keep it around anyway, because pricing is so close to the new gen truck here that currently a tradesman of the Classic is only $715 cheaper than going for a 2024 Ram regular 1500 tradesman. And I mean, the newer truck it's just better in so many ways. I can't see how you could justify, you know, only for a $750 savings. I mean, maybe there's bigger savings. You know, I'm just looking at MSRPs here. Maybe the Classics have way more cash on the hood than the regular Rams do, but I feel like they're pretty liberal with discounts on all the Rams. So I don't know. It just, again, didn't seem too compelling. And even a 2025 refreshed tradesman is only about $1,500 more expensive than that old one. And again, just seems like a no-brainer to get the newer, brand new truck if you're going to be spending, you know, over 40 grand anyway. But you know, again, maybe dealer discounts are bigger and you change that story a little bit. But anyway, so interesting to hear that, but that's one I don't think too many people are going to miss there, because I think they said there's like 3,000 sitting on dealer lots currently, and it doesn't seem like they're selling super hotly. So, yeah, anyway, makes sense, but I guess farewell to the Ram 1500 Classic. The last thing is I just want to thank all of you that are members of the Matt Moran Motoring Club. So we didn't have any new members that joined this week, but we did have a bunch of people that were able to rejoin thanks to Kyle's very generous, continuous gifting he does every week in the live stream that enables many of the members to continue to be members. I really appreciate your continued generosity, Kyle, and I'm sure that everyone that is a recipient of those also very much appreciates your generosity as well. But for anyone else that would like to join or rejoin on their own, become members of the Matt Moran Motoring Club, there's always join buttons here on the video page, the channel page, and a link in the description where you can, you know, join, get that party answering, get the access to the Discord server, and all the other fun stuff that comes with being a member. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and all the stuff in the comments below. Please leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.